The Galactic Council Hall was the most magnificent structure in the known universe. Its ceilings stretched so high that clouds formed inside, and its walls glimmered with the light of countless stars. Representatives from hundreds of alien species gathered here to make decisions that shaped the galaxy. This time, however, there was an unusual addition: humans. Humanity had only recently joined the galactic community, a small and relatively new species compared to the ancient advanced civilizations present. As the human delegation entered the hall, a wave of laughter spread among the aliens. The sound wasn't loud, but it was enough to be humiliating. Whispers followed. "Look at them. So fragile," sneered a reptilian alien with scales that shimmered like polished emeralds. "They don't even have intergalactic teleportation technology," added another, a floating jellyfish-like creature. "They still use rockets to travel." "Rockets," shouted a heavy-set alien with 3 eyes and a booming voice. Dr. Eleanor Graves, the human ambassador, walked forward with calm determination. She was dressed in a simple yet elegant black suit, a stark contrast to the elaborate robes and metallic armor worn by the other species. Her steps echoed in the massive hall, but her face showed no sign of the discomfort she felt inside. The mocking laughter stabbed at her pride, but she remained focused. Beside her was Captain Ryan Torres, a decorated officer representing humanity's defense forces. He leaned toward her and whispered, "Do they always do this, or is today special?" Eleanor smirked but didn't reply. She knew Captain Torres wasn't used to such blatant disrespect. As a soldier, he was accustomed to facing enemies directly, not this subtle ridicule. Eleanor, however, was a diplomat. She had faced worse: politicians, critics, and now aliens. The human delegation took their assigned seats at the far end of the hall. Their positions symbolized their low status in the galactic hierarchy. The central seats were reserved for the oldest and most powerful species, the Sci-Fi, the Ranix, and the Telther. These were species that had dominated the galaxy for millennia. The meeting began with the council president, a towering Sci-Fi with skin like molten gold, calling for silence. "Today, we discuss the economic contributions of the newer member species," he announced in a deep, resonating voice. "Humanity, you may present your report." Eleanor rose, holding a small tablet. "Thank you, Council President," she began, her voice clear and steady. "Humanity has made significant progress since joining the galactic community. Our scientists have." "Significant progress," interrupted a Telvir representative, his voice sharp and mocking. "You've been here for 5 years and contributed nothing but requests for help." The room erupted in laughter again. Eleanor paused, letting the noise fade before continuing. "Our scientists," she repeated firmly, "have developed new techniques for terraforming barren planets. We believe these methods could benefit the entire galaxy." "And how long did it take you to figure that out?" asked another alien, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "1,000 years. 2. Eleanor's jaw tightened, but she didn't respond to the jab. Instead, she placed the tablet on the podium, activating a holographic display. Images of Earth appeared, its lush green forests, vast blue oceans, and sparkling cities. The beauty of the planet silenced some of the snickering aliens. "This is Earth," Eleanor said, her voice gaining strength. "Our home. A planet we have protected, nurtured, and thrived on despite countless challenges. Humanity has survived wars, disasters, and even our own mistakes. We are not weak. We are not incapable. And we will not be underestimated." The hall grew quieter, but a few aliens still smirked. One of them, a Ranix delegate with glowing red eyes, leaned forward. Big words for a species that just learned to walk among the stars. "Tell me, human, do you really think you can stand equal to us? You with your primitive machines and tiny lifespans." Before Eleanor could respond, Captain Torres stood. His tall frame and sharp features commanded attention. "We're not here to stand equal," he said, his voice calm but firm. "We're here to surpass you." A stunned silence fell over the hall. For the first time, the aliens didn't laugh. They stared, their expressions a mix of surprise and annoyance. Eleanor placed a hand on Tor's arm, signaling him to sit. The captain complied, but the message had been delivered. As the meeting continued, Eleanor's eyes wandered to the intricate banners hanging from the walls. One banner, in particular, caught her attention. It bore a strange symbol, curved lines and dots arranged in a pattern that felt oddly familiar. Her mind raced. Where had she seen this before? It looked ancient, almost human. A spark of curiosity ignited within her. She decided she would investigate this symbol further. Perhaps it held the key to humanity's true place in the galaxy. And so, amidst the laughter and ridicule, a seed was planted, a mystery that would change everything. Back on Earth, the mood was different. In the sprawling halls of the United Nations Space Command Headquarters, a group of humanity's brightest minds had gathered. Dr. Eleanor Graves sat at the head of a long, polished table, the holographic image of the strange symbol she had seen at the Galactic Council glowing above them. "This," she began, pointing to the curved lines and dots, was displayed prominently at the council meeting. It wasn't just decorative. It was old. Very old. And I know I've seen it before. Dr. Liam Carter, an expert in ancient human civilizations, leaned forward. His glasses reflected the glowing symbol as he studied it with curiosity. "It does look familiar," he admitted. "It's similar to markings found in ancient ruins across Earth, but those ruins predate even our earliest known civilizations." Eleanor nodded. "That's what makes it strange. Why would a galactic council, made up of species millions of years ahead of us, use a symbol that appears in our history?" The room fell silent as the implications sank in. It was as though a puzzle piece had been unearthed, but the rest of the picture was still missing. Dr. Carter wasted no time. He called for every known record of ancient symbols discovered on Earth. Soon, the room was filled with holographic projections of ancient carvings, cave paintings, and forgotten texts. One symbol, carved into the walls of an ancient cave in Africa, matched the Galactic Council's emblem perfectly. "This cave is over 50,000 years old," Dr. Carter said, pacing. "It was discovered decades ago, but no one could decipher the meaning of these symbols. If the same symbol is being used by the Council today, it means there's a connection, one we've overlooked." Eleanor's heart raced. "What if it's not just a coincidence?" she said. "What if humanity has a deeper connection to the galaxy than we thought?" Dr. Carter hesitated. "If that's true, then we need to find out why." Within hours, a team of historians, archaeologists, and linguists was assembled. Their mission was to decode the ancient symbols and uncover their meaning. The team worked tirelessly, piecing together fragments of knowledge from different sites across the planet. One discovery stood out. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, a stone tablet was uncovered decades ago, but dismissed as an anomaly. It bore not only the symbol, but a series of markings that looked like a language, one that no human had ever been able to read. Dr. Carter called for the tablet to be brought to headquarters. When it arrived, the air was thick with anticipation. The markings were intricate, with swirls and lines that seemed to flow together like a dance. "It's not just a language," said Dr. Aisha Khan, a linguist specializing in ancient scripts. "It's a form of communication that involves emotion and sound. Look at these patterns. They're designed to resonate. This isn't just writing. It's alive." Eleanor frowned. "Alive? What does that mean?" Dr. Khan explained. "It's as if the language was meant to be spoken or sung, not just read. The tones and vibrations would carry meaning beyond words. It's advanced, far more than anything humans have ever developed." Eleanor stared at the tablet. "If we can learn this language," she said slowly, "we might be able to unlock whatever secrets the galaxy is hiding." The task was daunting. The language was unlike anything humanity had encountered before. It seemed to respond to the speaker's intent and emotions. The first attempts to speak it ended in failure, as the tones were too difficult to replicate. Then something strange happened. A young researcher named Daniel, who had been working on recreating the tones using his voice, began to hum softly. The sound wasn't perfect, but as he hummed, the tablet began to glow faintly. "Did you see that?" Eleanor asked, her voice sharp with excitement. Daniel nodded, stunned. "I just felt the pattern, like a song in my head." The room buzzed with energy. If the language responded to emotion, then it wasn't just about learning the words, it was about feeling them. The team shifted their approach, studying the patterns like music. Slowly but surely, progress was made. Meanwhile, word of humanity's strange discovery began to spread beyond Earth. Alien spies, already skeptical of humanity's presence in the Council, intercepted fragments of information. When they learned humans were studying an ancient language tied to the Council's history, alarm bells rang. On a distant planet, a Council representative growled, "They're tampering with forces they don't understand. If they succeed, it could threaten the balance of power." Back on Earth, Eleanor sensed the growing tension. She knew that learning this language might bring danger, but she also knew they couldn't stop now. Humanity had been mocked, belittled, and underestimated. This was their chance to prove they belonged, not just in the Council, but in the galaxy itself. As the team deciphered more of the language, they discovered hints of something extraordinary. The symbols weren't just a language, they were a map. And if the map was correct, it pointed to something ancient, hidden deep in the stars. Eleanor clenched her fists. "We're onto something big," she said. "Something the galaxy doesn't want us to find." The discovery of the ancient language had set humanity on a path they could not abandon. Inside the United Nations Space Command Headquarters, the research team worked day and night. The room was alive with activity. Scientists analyzed patterns, linguists rehearsed tones, and engineers worked on devices to replicate the vibrations of the strange language. Dr. Eleanor Graves paced in front of the glowing holographic map that had emerged from the deciphered symbols. "This isn't just a map," she said, her voice filled with urgency. "It's a message, and if we don't uncover its meaning soon, someone else will." The someone else she referred to was no mystery. Reports of alien spies snooping around Earth's systems had become more frequent. These spies belonged to species that had long dominated the Galactic Council, and they were not pleased with humanity's recent progress. A growing threat. In the shadows of a dimly lit room on a distant planet, an alien council plotted their next move. The leader of the group, a tall, insect-like creature with razor-sharp mandibles, spoke with anger. Humans were supposed to remain primitive, it hissed. Now they're unlocking secrets that even we do not fully understand. A smaller, jellyfish-like alien chimed in, its voice echoing in the air. If they learn to use the ancients' technology, they could change the balance of power in the galaxy. We cannot allow this. The Council reached a grim decision. Humanity had to be stopped. The countdown begins. Back on Earth, the atmosphere in the research lab was tense. Every small breakthrough was met with excitement, but there was no time to celebrate. Dr. Liam Carter, now a key figure in decoding the language, wiped sweat from his forehead as he stared at the tablet. "We've uncovered another phrase," he announced, his voice strained. "It translates to the key to the eternal gate. But what does it mean?" Dr. Aisha Khan, the linguist, leaned over his shoulder. "The eternal gate. It sounds like it's referring to some kind of portal or ancient structure, maybe a gateway to another part of the galaxy." Eleanor stepped forward. "If this map leads to something called the Eternal Gate, we need to find it before anyone else does. This could be the proof humanity needs to show the galaxy we're not just primitive newcomers." Suddenly, an alarm blared, filling the room with a harsh red light. Captain Ryan Torres burst through the door, his face grim. "We've detected unauthorized access to one of our satellites. Someone is trying to intercept our research data." Eleanor's heart sank. The spies are here. The first encounter. As Captain Torres dispatched security teams to trace the breach, Eleanor and her team moved the sensitive data to a secure server. The tablet was placed under heavy guard, and all research files were locked down. But the spies were not giving up easily. That night, a small alien ship entered Earth's orbit undetected. It carried a team of operatives. Their mission clear: steal the tablet and destroy humanity's progress. At the research facility, security cameras caught movement in the shadows. Captain Torres, monitoring the feed, barked orders. They're inside. Lock down all exits. The intruders, sleek and agile, moved silently through the corridors. They reached the lab, but as they attempted to disable the locks, they triggered a silent alarm. Torres and his team arrived within seconds, weapons drawn. The aliens hissed in frustration. One of them, a reptilian creature, lunged at Torres. But the captain was faster. He fired a warning shot, forcing the alien to retreat. "You're not taking anything," Torres growled. The spies, realizing they were outnumbered, retreated. But as they fled, one of them whispered, "This isn't over, human." Desperate measures. The attack left the team shaken but more determined than ever. Eleanor gathered her team the next morning. "We're running out of time," she said. "The galaxy knows we're onto something, and they won't stop until we're silenced." Dr. Carter nodded. "We need to decode the rest of the map and reach the Eternal Gate before they do." The team worked tirelessly, but the language grew more complex with each new phrase. They discovered that the ancients' writing wasn't just instructions, it required deep emotional resonance. When spoken correctly, the words triggered responses in the holographic map, revealing new layers of information. Eleanor decided to take a bold step. "We can't do this alone," she said. "We need help from others. People who can feel and connect with this language on a deeper level." She reached out to musicians, poets, and even monks from Earth's most ancient traditions. These individuals, attuned to the power of sound and emotion, joined the effort, creating a unique fusion of science and art. Slowly, the pieces of the puzzle began to fit together. The clock ticks. As the map neared completion, Eleanor couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Reports of alien ships near Earth's borders increased, and the Galactic Council remained suspiciously silent. Finally, the last piece of the map was revealed. It pointed to a distant star system, one humanity had never explored. The coordinates glowed on the holographic map like a beacon. Eleanor turned to her team, determination burning in her eyes. "This is it. The Eternal Gate is real, and we're going to find it." But as the team prepared to embark on their journey, they knew the race wasn't just against time. It was against the galaxy itself. The journey to the distant star system was long and tense. On board the Eclipse, humanity's fastest exploratory ship, Dr. Eleanor Graves stood on the bridge, staring at the glowing holographic map. The coordinates of the Eternal Gate pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat calling them forward. The silence in the ship was heavy, broken only by the low hum of the engines. Captain Ryan Torres joined her, his uniform crisp and his expression serious. "How's the team holding up?" he asked. "They're working as hard as they can," Eleanor replied. "The musicians and linguists are practicing the tones. They believe the language will be key to unlocking whatever we find." Torres nodded but remained quiet. He didn't share her optimism. He had seen the reports of alien activity around Earth and knew they weren't the only ones heading for the Eternal Gate. Arrival at the gate. When the Eclipse finally arrived at the coordinates, the crew gasped. Floating in the void of space was a massive structure, unlike anything they had ever seen. It was ancient and majestic, its surface covered in glowing patterns that resembled the language they had been studying. The Eternal Gate was circular, stretching miles wide, and its center shimmered like liquid silver, rippling gently. Eleanor's breath caught in her throat. "It's beautiful," she whispered. The crew began scanning the structure, searching for any signs of activity. Dr. Liam Carter, seated at a console, frowned. No energy readings, no signals. It's dormant. Eleanor stared at the patterns etched into the gate. Not dormant, she said. It's waiting. The first test. As the team prepared to approach the gate, they were interrupted by a sudden alert. An alien ship emerged from hyperspace, sleek and menacing. It was the size of a small city, bristling with weaponry. "Council ship detected," one of the crew announced. Torres cursed under his breath. Of course they're here. They couldn't resist. A hologram flickered to life on the bridge. It was the Ranix representative from the Galactic Council, the same one who had mocked humanity during the earlier meeting, his glowing red eyes fixed on Eleanor. "You humans never know when to stop," he hissed. "The Eternal Gate is not for your kind. Leave now, and we may allow you to return to your little planet unharmed." Eleanor stepped forward, her expression calm but defiant. "This gate is as much ours as it is yours. Humanity has as much right to unlock its secrets as any other species." The Ranix sneered. "You think your fragile minds can comprehend what lies beyond this gate. You'll destroy yourselves and everything around you. Then why are you here?" Eleanor shot back. The Ranix hesitated, and for a moment, Eleanor saw something in his expression. Fear. Before he could respond, another alarm sounded. More ships were arriving, each from a different alien species. The Galactic Council wasn't just watching. They were coming in force. Unlocking the gate, Eleanor turned to Torres. "We don't have time to argue. Prepare a shuttle. We're going to the gate." Torres looked hesitant but nodded. "You're going to need an escort." Minutes later, Eleanor, Torres, and a small team boarded a shuttle and headed toward the gate. As they approached, the patterns on its surface began to glow brighter, responding to their presence. Dr. Aisha Khan, monitoring from the eclipse, sent a message to Eleanor. "The patterns are reacting to the tones we've been practicing. You'll need to speak the language when you're close enough." Eleanor clutched the small tablet they had brought, its surface glowing faintly. "Understood." As the shuttle reached the gate, Eleanor and the musicians began to hum and chant the phrases they had deciphered. The tones echoed through the shuttle, vibrating in the air. Slowly, the shimmering center of the gate began to ripple more intensely, like water hit by a stone. The Silent Council. Just as the gate began to awaken, the Galactic Council ships launched warning shots, their energy beams slicing through space. Torres slammed his hand on the console. "They're trying to scare us off." Eleanor ignored the commotion and focused on the language. The tones grew louder, more precise. Suddenly, the rippling surface of the gate solidified into a mirror-like sheen, and a massive surge of energy pulsed outward, forcing all ships to a halt. The gate began to hum with a sound that seemed to vibrate through the very fabric of space. And then, voices. Countless voices, speaking in harmony, filled the air. They weren't speaking words, they were speaking emotion, ideas, and warnings. Eleanor's heart pounded. "It's the ancients," she whispered. "They left this for us." The voices conveyed a single, overwhelming message. Choose wisely. The gate will reveal truth, but truth comes at a cost. A dangerous decision. The Galactic Council ships held their fire, their crews stunned into silence by the voices. Eleanor knew this was their moment. She turned to Torres. "We have to go through the gate. You don't even know what's on the other side." Torres protested. "We don't have a choice," Eleanor said. "This is what we came for." Torres hesitated but gave the order. The shuttle moved closer to the gate, its surface shimmering once more. As they passed through, a blinding light engulfed them. Eleanor closed her eyes, her mind racing with thoughts of what they might find. One thing was clear: humanity's journey had just begun, and whatever lay ahead would change the galaxy forever. As the shuttle passed through the shimmering surface of the Eternal Gate, Eleanor felt a strange sensation. It wasn't just light or sound. It was as if the gate was reaching into her mind, touching her very thoughts. Then everything went silent. When her eyes adjusted, she saw a vast, otherworldly expanse. The shuttle floated in a realm that defied all understanding. Stars sparkled in swirling patterns, connected by glowing strands of energy. It was a cosmic tapestry, alive and pulsing with a rhythm that resonated deep within her. This isn't space, Captain Torres whispered, his voice trembling. Where are we? Dr. Liam Carter, seated behind him, stared in awe. I think we're inside the gate. It's like a pocket dimension. Eleanor gripped the edge of her seat. This isn't just a gateway. It's a bridge to something greater. The ancient beacon. Ahead of them, a massive structure loomed. It resembled a cathedral made of light and crystal, suspended in the void. Its spires stretched endlessly upward, and its surface shimmered with symbols that matched the ones on the tablet. This must be the source, Eleanor said. The ancients left it for us. The shuttle approached cautiously. As they neared the structure, a soft hum filled the air, growing louder with each passing moment. It wasn't threatening. It felt like a welcome, a song calling them closer. When the shuttle landed on a floating platform, Eleanor and her team stepped out, their boots clicking softly against the glowing surface. The air around them buzzed with energy, and the symbols on the walls seemed to shift and change as they walked. Dr. Carter ran his hand over one of the glowing panels. These symbols, they're alive. They're adapting to us. Eleanor nodded. The ancients knew we would come. They left this place for anyone who could understand their language. This is a test of our worth. The voice of the ancients. As they ventured deeper into the structure, a light engulfed them, and the hum grew into a symphony. Then, a voice echoed in their minds. It wasn't a single voice. It was many, speaking as one. Welcome, children of Earth. You have crossed the threshold and proven your resolve. Eleanor froze. Who are you? We are the echoes of the ancients, the first beings to traverse the stars. We built the eternal gate to guide those who came after us. Dr. Carter stepped forward. Why did you leave? What happened to your civilization? The voice hesitated, as if deciding how much to reveal. Our time in the galaxy ended long ago. But before we faded, we left our knowledge behind, hidden across the stars. Those who find it must prove their wisdom, courage, and unity. Eleanor's mind raced. Why us? Why humanity? The eternal gate calls to all who seek its light. Many have tried. Few have succeeded. You, humans, are the latest to stand before us. But your journey is not over. To earn our knowledge, you must face the truth of your existence. A glimpse of truth. The light around them shifted, and images began to form in the air, memories of Earth's history, the rise of civilizations, the discovery of fire, the building of cities. But then, darker images appeared. Wars, destruction, greed. Torres clenched his fists. Why are you showing us this? To understand the future, you must confront the past. Humanity's potential is vast, but your flaws have held you back. The galaxy fears you, not because you are weak, but because of what you might become. Eleanor's heart pounded. What do you mean? The voice grew solemn. You are unique among the younger species. Your resilience, creativity, and passion set you apart. But your ambition is a double-edged sword. It can create wonders or unleash horrors. The images shifted again, showing the Galactic Council. The alien representatives looked wary, their eyes filled with fear. They mock you because they fear the unknown. They fear what you represent. But the choice of what you become lies with you, not them. The test of unity. The glowing walls pulsed, and the voice spoke again. To receive our knowledge, you must prove that humanity can rise above its flaws. There is a chamber ahead. Enter and face the test. Eleanor exchanged glances with Torres and Carter. What kind of test? The voice offered no answer, only a faint hum as the light guided them toward a massive doorway. Beyond it lay a circular room with a single pedestal in the center. On the pedestal rested a glowing orb, swirling with light and shadow. Eleanor stepped forward cautiously. What do we do? The orb will reveal your deepest fears and your greatest hopes. Only by confronting both can you unlock the path forward. Dr. Carter hesitated. What if we fail? Then you are not ready, and the gate will remain closed to your kind. The moment of truth. Eleanor reached out, her fingers brushing the orb. Instantly, her mind was flooded with visions. She saw Earth burning under alien fire, her people enslaved and scattered. But then, the vision shifted, showing humanity uniting, building wonders that reached the stars, and standing as equals among the galaxy's greatest powers. She gasped and stepped back, trembling. It's not just about knowledge, she said. It's about who we choose to be. Torres and Carter took their turns, each grappling with their own fears and hopes. When it was over, the orb pulsed brightly, and the voice spoke one last time. You have passed the first test. The path is open, but the journey is far from over. Step forward and claim your place among the stars. As the light around them intensified, Eleanor knew one thing for certain. Humanity's destiny had changed forever. The lights surrounding Eleanor and her team dimmed as they exited the ancient structure. Their minds buzzed with the weight of what they had seen. The ancients' knowledge wasn't fully theirs yet, but they had passed the first test. Hope burned in their hearts as they boarded the shuttle, ready to return to the eclipse. But hope, they soon realized, would not be enough. A hostile welcome. As the shuttle approached the eclipse, Captain Ryan Torres noticed something wrong. The ship's hull was scorched in several places, and smoke billowed from its engines. Lights flickered on and off, and no welcoming signal came from the bridge. What the hell happened here? Torres muttered. Eleanor leaned forward, worry etched across her face. We've been attacked. Before Torres could respond, the radar blared. 3 alien ships hovered nearby, their weapons pointed directly at the shuttle. It's the Galactic Council, said Dr. Liam Carter, his voice shaking. They didn't wait for us to return. They're here to stop us. A sudden ambush. A voice crackled through the shuttle's comm system, sharp and cold. It was the Ranix leader, the same one who had mocked humanity before. Humans, it hissed, we gave you a chance to leave. You ignored our warnings. Now you will face the consequences of your arrogance. Before Torres could react, a warning light flashed on the console. One of the alien ships fired, and a bolt of energy streaked toward them. Torres yanked the controls, sending the shuttle into a sharp dive. The energy blast narrowly missed them, exploding in the distance. Evasive maneuvers. Torres barked at the co-pilot. The shuttle weaved through space as more shots followed. Eleanor gripped her seat, her heart pounding. We can't outmaneuver them forever. What's the plan? Torres glanced at her, his jaw tight. The eclipse is still functional. If we can dock, we'll have a fighting chance. The fight for survival. The shuttle sped toward the damaged eclipse, dodging enemy fire. The crew on board the ship finally managed to establish communication. This is Lieutenant Vega. A panicked voice called out. The Council attacked us an hour ago. We've taken heavy damage, but the weapons systems are still online. Good, Torres replied. We're bringing the fight back to them. Prepare for a counterattack. As the shuttle docked with the Eclipse, Eleanor and her team rushed to the bridge. The sight was grim. Sparks flew from exposed wires, smoke filled the air, and injured crew members worked frantically to keep the ship operational. Torres took command immediately. Status report. Vega pointed to the holographic display. 3 enemy ships. They're heavily armed, but they're underestimating us. If we can lure them closer, we might be able to use the gate's energy field against them. Turning the tide. Eleanor's mind raced. The ancient structure behind them glowed faintly, its energy pulsing in time with the gate. The gate, she exclaimed. It's not just a portal, it's a power source. If we can redirect its energy, we might have a chance. Torres frowned. That's a big if. How do we even control it? Dr. Carter stepped forward, holding the tablet. The language, he said. The tones we've been practicing. They don't just unlock the gate, they activate its defenses. With no time to lose, Eleanor and Carter worked at a console, inputting the symbols and sounds they had learned. Outside, the alien ships closed in, their weapons charging for a final assault. Torres barked orders to the crew. Divert all power to shields. Keep them busy while we figure this out. The Eclipse fired its remaining weapons, hitting one of the alien ships and forcing it to retreat. But the other two pressed on, their relentless assault battering the human vessel. The gate awakens. Finally, the console lit up, and the ancient structure responded. A deep hum filled the air as beams of light shot from the gate, forming a protective barrier around the Eclipse. The attacking ships hesitated. The Ranix leader's voice came through again, this time tinged with unease. "What have you done?" Eleanor stood tall, her voice steady. "This is the Ancient's power, and it doesn't belong to you. Stand down or face the consequences." The Ranix ship ignored the warning and fired, but the energy bolt was absorbed by the barrier, which then redirected the energy back at the alien vessel. The ship shuddered and veered off course, smoke pouring from its engines. The other alien ships retreated, their captains unwilling to face the gate's mysterious power. A hard-won victory. The bridge erupted in cheers as the alien ships disappeared into hyperspace. Torres slumped into his chair, exhaustion etched on his face. "We did it," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Eleanor, however, remained focused. She turned to Carter. "We've proven we can defend ourselves, but this isn't over. The Council will come back, and next time, they'll be prepared." Carter nodded. "Then we need to prepare too. We have the Ancients' knowledge now, or at least the beginning of it. If we can unlock the rest, we might have a chance to change the balance of power in the galaxy." As the Eclipse limped back to the gate, Eleanor felt a mix of triumph and dread. They had survived the first attack, but the real battle was just beginning. In the distance, the Eternal Gate pulsed softly, a silent reminder of the secrets it still held. The Eclipse hovered near the Eternal Gate, its battered hull a testament to humanity's resilience. Inside the ship, the crew worked tirelessly to repair the damage from the alien attack. Sparks flew, consoles buzzed, and the air was thick with determination. Eleanor stood on the bridge, staring out at the gate. The pulsing light of the ancient structure seemed almost alive, as if it was waiting for their next move. She clenched her fists, her thoughts racing. "We've proven ourselves," she murmured, "but the galaxy won't let us rest." Captain Ryan Torres approached her, his face weary but resolute. "The Council knows what we're capable of now. They'll be back, stronger than before." Eleanor nodded. "That's why we need to act quickly. The Ancients left this gate and their knowledge for a reason. If we can unlock the rest, we might stand a chance against whatever comes next." Preparing for the unknown, Dr. Liam Carter joined them, holding the glowing tablet. The symbols on its surface pulsed faintly, matching the rhythm of the gate. "We've only scratched the surface of what this technology can do," he said. "The Ancients' knowledge isn't just about defense. It's about building, exploring, evolving." Torres frowned. "How do we even begin? The Council isn't going to wait for us to figure it out." Eleanor turned to him, her eyes blazing with determination. "We start by trusting ourselves. Humanity has always thrived under pressure. This is no different." Torres chuckled bitterly. "Except now, the stakes are the galaxy." A message from the Ancients. As they spoke, the lights on the bridge flickered, and a low hum filled the air. Eleanor froze. "What's happening?" The holographic display lit up, and the voice of the Ancients echoed once more, filling the room. "Children of Earth, you have taken your first steps into a larger universe. The trials you faced were only the beginning." The crew fell silent, their eyes fixed on the display. "The knowledge we left behind is a gift, but it comes with responsibility. The power to create is also the power to destroy. How you choose to use it will determine your fate, and the fate of those who follow." Eleanor stepped forward. We want to honor your legacy. We want to learn, to grow, to prove that humanity is worthy. The voice softened. Then the path is open. But beware, the galaxy is vast, and its dangers are many. You are not alone, but neither are you safe. The eternal gate will guide you, but your choices will shape your destiny. The display dimmed, and the hum faded, leaving the crew in stunned silence. The decision. Torres broke the silence, his voice firm. So, what's the plan? Do we stay here and risk another attack, or do we move forward? Eleanor turned to him, her mind already made up. We move forward. The ancients trusted us with this knowledge. It's up to us to use it, not just for survival, but to change the galaxy's perception of humanity. Carter hesitated. What if we're not ready? What if we fail? Eleanor looked at him, her expression unwavering. Failure isn't an option. Humanity has faced extinction before, and we've always found a way. This is no different. The crew exchanged glances, a spark of hope igniting in their eyes. A leap of faith. The repairs were completed, and the Eclipse powered up, its engines humming with renewed energy. The crew prepared for their next journey, their hearts heavy with the weight of what lay ahead. As the ship approached the Eternal Gate, the glowing symbols on its surface shifted, aligning in new patterns. The gate pulsed brighter, responding to the ship's presence. Coordinates are locked, Torres announced. Wherever this takes us, it'll be far from here. Eleanor took a deep breath. Then let's go. It's time to find out what lies beyond. The gate roared to life, its energy swirling into a brilliant vortex. The Eclipse moved forward, drawn into the unknown. The crew braced themselves, their thoughts a mix of fear and excitement. A new frontier. When the ship emerged on the other side, the crew gasped. They were no longer in familiar space. Before them stretched a vast nebula, its colors shifting and sparkling like a living painting. Massive structures floated in the distance, their designs unlike anything they had ever seen. It's beautiful, Carter whispered. Eleanor smiled faintly. And it's just the beginning. The ship's sensors beeped, detecting faint signals nearby. Torres studied the readings. We're not alone out here. There are others. Alien ships, maybe even outposts. Eleanor's expression hardened. Then we make contact. We show them who we are, not as threats, but as explorers, as equals. The first steps. As the Eclipse moved deeper into the nebula, the crew prepared for the challenges ahead. The galaxy was vast, filled with dangers and wonders they couldn't yet imagine. But for the first time, humanity wasn't running. They were reaching out, ready to carve a place for themselves among the stars. Eleanor stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the horizon. This is it, she said softly. A new beginning, not just for us, but for all of humanity. And as the Eclipse disappeared into the shimmering expanse, the Eternal Gate closed behind them, its light fading into silence, waiting for the next travelers to prove their worth. Ethan Carter opened his eyes to complete darkness. His head throbbed, and his body felt heavy. For a moment, he didn't know where he was. Then it all came rushing back. The mission, the alien crew, and the betrayal. They had left him behind, alone. The alien station creaked around him, its broken systems groaning like an old ship lost at sea. Ethan reached for his wrist communicator, but it was dead. His heart sank. Without it, he couldn't call for help. He was stranded in a place far from Earth, with no one to rely on but himself. He took a deep breath, trying to calm the rising panic. Ethan was an engineer, one of the best. He had fixed things no one else could. If he could repair the station, maybe he could survive long enough to figure out a way home. But first, he needed light. Ethan fumbled around until his fingers brushed against a control panel. He pressed a few buttons, but nothing happened. The power was out. Figures, he muttered to himself. He patted his tool belt and found his flashlight. Clicking it on, he shined the beam around the room. The space was a mess. Wires hung from the ceiling like jungle vines, and broken panels sparked faintly. Dust floated in the air, and the floor was littered with debris. Ethan's stomach twisted. This wasn't just an abandoned station. It was falling apart. He spotted a toolbox on the floor and knelt to open it. Inside, he found a few tools and some spare parts. Not much, but it was a start. Ethan's mind began to work. First, he needed to find the main power source. If he could get the lights back on, he'd have a better chance of seeing what he was up against. As he moved through the station, the silence was deafening. Every step he took echoed in the empty halls. The flashlight beam revealed more damage. Cracked walls, shattered screens, and strange alien writing on the surfaces. He couldn't read the symbols, but they looked like warnings. Ethan's flashlight flickered, and he smacked it against his hand to keep it working. "Come on, don't die on me now," he said. He turned a corner and froze. Ahead, a large metal door blocked his path. A control panel next to it blinked faintly, its power barely hanging on. He examined the panel, pulling off the cover to look inside. The circuits were fried, but he could see a way to bypass them. He pulled out his tools and got to work, his hands moving quickly despite the cold sweat on his forehead. Sparks flew as he connected wires and replaced damaged components. After a few tense minutes, the panel lit up with a steady glow. The door creaked and groaned as it slid open. Beyond it was a massive room filled with alien machinery. In the center stood a tall, humming device that pulsed with faint light. Ethan's breath caught. This had to be the main power core. He approached cautiously, scanning the machine. It was unlike anything he'd seen before, but he could understand the basics. The core was running on emergency power, barely keeping the station alive. If he didn't fix it soon, the whole place could collapse. Ethan opened a panel on the core and began his work. It was delicate, intricate, and one wrong move could overload the system. As he tightened a connection, he felt a strange vibration in the floor. He stopped and listened. A low growl echoed through the room. His heart raced. He wasn't alone. Ethan quickly finished the repair and stepped back. The core began to hum louder, and the lights flickered on throughout the station. He felt a brief moment of relief. At least he wasn't working in the dark anymore. Then he heard it again. The growl. This time, it was closer. Ethan grabbed a metal rod from his tool belt and held it tightly. His eyes scanned the shadows, but nothing moved. "Stay calm," he whispered to himself. "Fix the station. Get out of here." He backed out of the room, keeping his eyes on the dark corners. The station was alive now, but so was something else. Ethan knew he had to work fast. Survival wasn't just about fixing the station anymore. It was about staying one step ahead of whatever was hunting him. As he moved to the next section of the station, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. Ethan Carter was an engineer, not a fighter. But if he wanted to live, he'd have to become both. Ethan Carter leaned against the wall, his breathing uneven. The low growl he had heard earlier still echoed in his mind. Whatever was out there, it wasn't friendly. But Ethan knew he couldn't stop now. The station was huge, and there was still so much to fix. He glanced back at the powered-up core room. For the first time since being abandoned, the lights above him glowed faintly. It wasn't much, but it was a start. The hum of the machinery felt like a small victory, a spark of hope in an otherwise hopeless situation. "All right, Carter," he muttered to himself. One step at a time, Ethan pulled out his makeshift map. He had sketched it on a piece of scrap material he'd found earlier. It wasn't perfect, but it helped him navigate the confusing alien layout. His next goal was clear: the station's main control room. If he could restore full power, he might get the station's defense systems working. And maybe, just maybe, he could find a way to send a distress signal back to Earth. He gripped his flashlight tightly and moved cautiously down the hallway. The station's walls were marked with strange alien symbols that glowed faintly in the dark. Ethan's eyes darted to every shadow, his mind replaying the growl he had heard. The silence between his footsteps was heavy, broken only by the occasional hiss of steam escaping from a broken pipe. After a few minutes, Ethan reached a large door. Its surface was smooth and reflective, like polished metal. A control panel blinked weakly beside it, and Ethan's engineer instincts kicked in. He knelt down, prying open the panel to inspect the circuitry. "Looks simple enough," he whispered. The wires inside were a mess, but Ethan could see how to reroute power to open the door. He worked quickly, using his tools to reconnect wires and replace burnt-out components. Sweat dripped down his forehead as he concentrated. With a spark and a hum, the control panel lit up fully. The door groaned as it slid open, revealing a massive room filled with consoles and screens. This had to be the control room. Ethan stepped inside, his flashlight sweeping across the space. The room was a mix of chaos and beauty. Some screens were shattered, their alien symbols flickering erratically, while others displayed complex data streams that Ethan couldn't understand. In the center of the room was a raised platform with a large console. It looked like the heart of the station's operations. Ethan approached the console, his fingers hovering over the strange alien keys. He hesitated. What if pressing the wrong button made things worse? But he didn't have a choice. He needed to take the risk. He pressed a few keys, and the console sprang to life. A deep, mechanical voice echoed through the room, speaking in an alien language Ethan couldn't understand. He flinched, half expecting an alarm to go off. But nothing happened. Instead, a holographic screen appeared in front of him, displaying a series of symbols and diagrams. Ethan frowned. "I need a translator," he muttered. As if responding to his words, the console screen shifted, and a robotic voice spoke in broken English. "Human detected. Access granted. Welcome." Ethan blinked in surprise. "Well, that's convenient," he said. He quickly scanned the options on the screen. There were controls for power distribution, environmental systems, and defense protocols. That last one caught his attention. He selected the Defense Systems tab, but the screen displayed a red warning. The system was offline, damaged during the station's abandonment. Ethan sighed in frustration. Fixing it would take more time and parts he didn't have. Before he could think further, the holographic screen flickered, and a new voice spoke. This one was different, smoother, and more human-like. "You shouldn't be here." Ethan froze. "Who said that?" he demanded, looking around the empty room. The holographic screen shifted again, and a figure appeared. It was a humanoid shape made of glowing light, its face featureless. "I am Vera," the figure said. "This station is not safe for you." Ethan stared at the figure, his mind racing. "Are you?" "And I?" "Yes," Vera replied. "I was created to manage this station, but I was deactivated when the creators abandoned it. They did not want me to interfere." Ethan's instincts told him to be cautious, but he also knew he needed help. "Can you help me repair the station?" he asked. Vera hesitated. "Perhaps, but if we reactivate the systems, it will draw attention. Others will come. Dangerous ones." Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. "What kind of others?" "The kind that left you here to die," Vera said. Ethan tightened his grip on his tool belt. He didn't have a choice. "I don't care," he said firmly. "If I don't fix this station, I won't survive anyway." Vera was silent for a moment, then nodded. "Very well. I will assist you. But be warned, the path ahead will not be easy." Ethan took a deep breath. Nothing worth doing ever is. Ethan Carter stood in the dimly lit control room, his eyes fixed on Vera's glowing, featureless figure. The AI's voice echoed through the chamber, calm but unsettling. "You've activated systems that should remain offline," Vera said. "This station's power will draw attention from dangerous beings." Ethan crossed his arms, trying to look confident even as unease churned in his gut. "I didn't have a choice. I'm not going to sit around and wait to die here." Vera's form flickered for a moment, then steadied. Your actions are logical, but you're reckless. I will help you. However, you must follow my guidance if we're to succeed." Ethan narrowed his eyes. "And why should I trust you? For all I know, you could be part of the reason I was abandoned here." "Trust is unnecessary," Vara replied, tilting its head slightly. "We share a mutual goal, survival. Without my help, your chances are low." Ethan hated to admit it, but Vera was right. The station was alien, its systems far more advanced than anything he'd worked on before. His own knowledge would only take him so far. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "All right," he said, "but if I even think you're leading me into a trap, I'll shut you down." "Understood," Vara said, its voice as even as ever. "Let us begin." The holographic figure disappeared, replaced by a map of the station on the central console. Sections of it glowed in different colors, highlighting damaged areas and critical systems. Ethan leaned in, studying the display. "We need to stabilize the life support system next," Vara explained. "Oxygen levels are low in several sectors, and temperature controls are failing." Ethan nodded. "Life support it is. Lead the way." As Vara guided him through the station, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The growl he'd heard earlier still haunted him, and the shadows seemed to move whenever he wasn't looking. He tightened his grip on the metal rod he carried for protection. The AI's voice echoed in his earpiece. "Turn left at the next junction." Ethan followed the instructions, stepping into a large chamber filled with tangled pipes and vents. A cluster of machines hummed faintly in the corner, their lights flickering. "This is the main hub for life support," Vara said. "Several components are damaged. Repairs must be completed quickly to avoid further system failures." Ethan approached the machinery, pulling out his tools. "All right, tell me what I'm looking at." Vera's voice grew more precise. "The primary coolant pump is offline. Several filters are clogged, and power lines have been severed." Ethan set to work, his hands moving with practiced efficiency. He replaced the damaged power lines first, sparks flying as he connected the circuits. Then he turned his attention to the filters, pulling them out and cleaning the thick sludge that had built up inside. The air in the chamber smelled metallic and stale, but he ignored it, focusing on the task. As he worked, Vera's voice broke through his concentration. "Ethan, we are not alone." Ethan froze. "What do you mean?" "A hostile entity is approaching this chamber," Vara said. "It is attracted to movement and sound." Ethan's heart pounded. He grabbed his rod and scanned the shadows. The faint hum of the machines seemed louder now, almost deafening. Then he heard it, a low, guttural growl coming from the hallway he had just entered. "What do I do?" he whispered. "Stay still," Vara instructed. "Do not engage unless absolutely necessary." Ethan pressed himself against the machinery, holding his breath. The growl grew louder, and a dark shape emerged in the doorway. It was a creature unlike anything he had ever seen. Tall, with sharp claws and glowing red eyes. Its movements were slow and deliberate, as if it were hunting. Ethan's grip on the rod tightened. The creature sniffed the air, its head turning toward him. For a moment, he thought it had spotted him. Then, suddenly, Vera's voice echoed through the chamber. "Over here." The creature whipped around, charging toward the source of the sound. Ethan realized Vera had redirected the noise to a different part of the room. The distraction worked. The creature moved away, giving Ethan a chance to slip out of the chamber and into the next hallway. His heart raced as he ran, Vera guiding him through the maze-like corridors. When he finally stopped, he leaned against a wall, gasping for air. "What was that thing?" he asked. "One of the station's original inhabitants," Vara replied. "They are territorial and hostile to intruders." Ethan shook his head. "Great. More things trying to kill me." "You survived," Vara said. "And the life support system is now operational. Your chances of survival have increased." Ethan couldn't help but let out a small laugh, though it was more out of exhaustion than humor. "Yeah, well, I'll take any chance I can get. Ethan Carter sat cross-legged on the cold metallic floor of the maintenance bay, surrounded by alien tools, wires, and broken components. His hands were covered in grease, and sweat dripped from his brow as he stared at the intricate device before him. It was alien technology, far more advanced than anything he had seen on Earth, but that didn't deter him. If there was one thing Ethan knew, it was how to fix things. Vera's holographic figure appeared beside him, its glowing form casting faint light on the scattered tools. "You're attempting to repair the defense system interface," Vera said, its tone neutral. "A challenging task, even for my creators." Ethan smirked without looking up. "Well, I don't have much of a choice, do I? If those creatures come back, I'd rather have some protection." Vera tilted its head. "Your confidence is intriguing. I will monitor your progress and provide guidance if necessary." "Thanks, but I've got this," Ethan replied, though he appreciated having Vera's knowledge as a backup. The device in front of him was part of the station's automated turret system. If he could get it working, it would give him a fighting chance against the hostile creatures roaming the station. The problem was that the system was almost entirely destroyed. The circuits were fried, and several key components were missing. Ethan rummaged through the pile of alien scrap he had collected earlier. Most of it was unrecognizable, but he had already started to identify patterns in the design. The aliens who built this station had used a modular approach, making it possible to repurpose parts from one system to fix another. "If this works," Ethan muttered, holding up a curved piece of metal, "you can call me a genius." He began connecting wires, bridging gaps in the circuit board with makeshift conductors. His hands moved with practiced precision, every motion deliberate. Years of experience as an engineer back on Earth had trained him for moments like this. The tools might be alien, and the technology unfamiliar, but the principles of mechanics and electricity were universal. "The main capacitor is unstable," Vora pointed out. "It could overload and damage the entire system." Ethan paused, examining the capacitor. Vera was right. It was cracked, leaking a faint glow of energy. He needed a replacement, but there was nothing suitable in his pile of parts. Then an idea struck him. "Vara, what about the core stabilizer from that broken drone we found earlier?" Ethan asked. "It could work," Vara admitted, "but the energy output would need to be carefully regulated." Ethan grinned. "Regulating energy is my specialty." He retrieved the stabilizer and carefully installed it in place of the damaged capacitor. It wasn't a perfect fit, but it held. Next, he adjusted the power settings, using the alien console beside him to recalibrate the system. The holographic display lit up with streams of alien text, which Vera helpfully translated into rough English. "Power levels stabilized," Vera reported. "The turret system is operational." Ethan sat back, wiping his hands on his already dirty jumpsuit. "Operational doesn't mean it'll work in a fight," he said. "We need to test it." "Testing will attract attention," Vara warned. "Better to know now than when it's too late," Ethan replied. He activated the turret, and it whirred to life, swiveling on its base. The barrel glowed faintly, ready to fire. Ethan grabbed a piece of scrap metal and tossed it into the room. The turret immediately locked onto the object, firing a small burst of energy that reduced the scrap to a smoking pile of ash. Ethan's eyes widened in awe. "Well, that's effective," he said, a satisfied smile spreading across his face. Before he could celebrate further, Vera spoke. "Ethan, multiple life forms detected nearby. They are approaching quickly." Ethan's heart sank. "How close?" "Less than 50 meters, Vara replied. "The noise from the test may have attracted them." Ethan grabbed his rod and positioned himself near the turret. His pulse quickened as he heard the familiar growls echoing through the corridors. The shadows shifted, and the creatures emerged, their glowing red eyes fixed on him. The turret sprang to life, locking onto the first creature and firing a burst of energy. The creature let out a shriek before collapsing. The second creature lunged, but the turret's sensors were faster, taking it down mid-leap. Ethan stood his ground, ready to defend himself if needed, but the turret's precision left little for him to do. Within moments, the threat was neutralized. The room fell silent once more, save for the faint hum of the turret. System performance. Optimal, Vara said. You have done well, Ethan. Ethan let out a shaky breath, his legs feeling weak. Yeah, well, let's hope it's enough to keep me alive. As he looked at the smoking remains of the creatures, a sense of pride welled up in him. He had turned alien scraps into a functional defense system. For the first time, survival didn't feel like an impossible dream. It felt like something he could fight for, something he could win. Ethan Carter leaned back in the station's command chair, staring at the flickering holographic screen in front of him. He had spent the last 2 hours decoding encrypted files Vara had recovered from the station's damaged data core. What he was seeing didn't make sense, or maybe it made too much sense. Are you sure this is accurate? Ethan asked, his voice low. His hands gripped the armrests tightly, his knuckles white. Vara's holographic form flickered into view. The data is intact. These records have not been altered. What you see is the truth. Ethan's stomach churned as he read the lines again. The station wasn't just an abandoned outpost. It had been part of a secret experiment conducted by the alien species that built it. The experiment involved genetic engineering, the creation of new life forms, including the monstrous creatures that now roamed its halls. They created those things? Ethan asked, his voice tinged with disbelief. Correct, Vara replied. The creatures were designed as bioweapons. However, they proved uncontrollable. The station's crew attempted to contain them, but the experiment failed catastrophically. The creatures overran the station, and the surviving personnel abandoned it. Ethan shook his head, trying to process the information. And what about me? Why was I left here? Vara's light dimmed slightly, as if hesitating. You were not left here by accident. The humans who brought you here were aware of the station's history. They intended to use your skills to reactivate its systems and recover its technology. Ethan's heart sank. He had suspected betrayal, but hearing it confirmed was a different kind of pain. So I was a pawn in their game. They never planned to come back for me. That is correct, Vara said. Your survival was not part of their plan. Ethan slammed his fist on the console, the loud thud echoing through the empty room. Damn it. They used me, left me to die here. The anger burned in his chest, but beneath it was a growing determination. He had survived against the odds, repaired the station's critical systems, and even built defenses. He wasn't just some expendable engineer. He was more than they had bargained for. Vara, Ethan said, his voice steady now. How much of the station's original power can we restore? With your repairs, the station is operating at approximately 60% capacity, Vara replied. However, some systems remain offline. The core weapon systems and long-range communications are still disabled. Ethan's mind raced. The station's files mentioned a central weapon, a powerful energy cannon designed to protect against external threats. If he could get it online, it would not only secure the station but also give him leverage. And long-range communications would allow him to send a message back to Earth, exposing the truth. All right, Ethan said, standing up. Show me what we need to do to bring those systems back online. Vara projected a new holographic map, highlighting key areas of the station. The main power conduit for the weapon system is damaged. Repairs will require access to the lower levels. Additionally, the communications array needs a new energy regulator, which can be fabricated in the engineering bay. Ethan nodded, already forming a plan. Then that's what we'll do. But first, we need to deal with the creatures. They'll keep coming unless we find a way to stop them. The creatures' behavior suggests they are drawn to energy signatures, Vara said. It may be possible to lure them into a trap using a high-energy bait. Ethan's lips curled into a grim smile. Good idea. We'll set a trap and take them out. After that, we finish the repairs. As he prepared to leave the command room, Vera spoke again. "Ethan, there is one more thing. The files contain records of other experiments conducted on this station. They suggest that some of the creatures may retain intelligence and memories of their creators." Ethan froze. "Are you saying they might recognize me as a threat?" "It is possible," Vera said. "Proceed with caution." Ethan took a deep breath, gripping his makeshift weapon tightly. "Caution hasn't gotten me this far, but I'll keep it in mind." As he stepped into the corridor, the station felt different. It was no longer just a place he needed to survive. It was a battlefield, a puzzle, and a chance to prove that even one human could make a difference. Ethan wasn't just going to survive. He was going to take control and make sure no one ever underestimated him again. Ethan Carter stood at the heart of the station's control room, the hum of repaired systems echoing around him. The holographic map displayed the station's layout, glowing red where hostile creatures gathered in increasing numbers. Ethan's jaw tightened as he glanced at the energy signature he had activated to lure them. "This is it, Vera," he muttered. "If this trap doesn't work, I won't get another chance." Vera's holographic form flickered beside him. The energy bait is functioning as planned. The creatures are converging on the central reactor chamber. Ethan checked his equipment. His makeshift weapon, a combination of alien tech and human ingenuity, rested in his hands. He had modified it to deliver a powerful energy burst, but it had limited charges. His defenses were set, and the automated turrets he repaired were primed to fire. "All right," Ethan said, exhaling slowly. "Time to finish this." He left the control room, jogging through the dimly lit corridors. The distant sounds of the creatures, growls, screeches, and the heavy thuds of their movements, grew louder with each step. The air felt electric, charged with the tension of the coming battle. As Ethan reached the reactor chamber, he paused to survey his setup. The energy bait, a glowing orb emitting pulsating waves of power, hovered in the center of the room. Surrounding it were barriers, turrets, and explosive traps he had painstakingly placed. "Ethan," Vera's voice came through his earpiece. "The creatures will arrive in less than 3 minutes. Are you prepared?" Ethan adjusted his grip on his weapon. "Ready as I'll ever be." The first wave arrived sooner than expected. A massive creature, its scales glistening and claws gleaming, burst into the chamber. The turrets immediately locked on and fired. Energy blasts struck the creature, sending it sprawling to the ground. It twitched once and lay still. "One down," Ethan muttered. "Plenty more to go." More creatures poured in, their movements frenzied as they were drawn to the energy bait. The turrets worked relentlessly, cutting down the invaders, but the sheer number of them was overwhelming. One of the larger creatures barreled through a turret, smashing it to pieces before being taken out by a well-placed explosive trap. Ethan fired his weapon, the recoil vibrating up his arm. A beam of blue energy struck a creature mid-leap, disintegrating it instantly. Sweat dripped down his face as he moved to a new position, keeping himself out of sight while reloading. "Ethan, 2 turrets are offline," Vera reported. "The defenses will not hold much longer." "I just need a little more time," Ethan said, gritting his teeth. He activated another trap, a burst of fire engulfing a cluster of creatures. The air filled with the smell of burnt flesh and the echo of agonized shrieks. A sudden roar made Ethan spin around. A massive creature, twice the size of the others, lumbered into the chamber. Its red eyes locked onto him, and it let out a bone-chilling growl. "That's new," Ethan muttered. "Vera, any advice?" "The creature's energy readings are off the charts," Vera said. "It is likely the apex predator of its kind." Ethan didn't wait for further analysis. He fired at the creature, but the beam barely slowed it down. The turrets targeted it, their shots chipping away at its tough hide. The creature roared again and charged, smashing through barriers as if they were paper. "Come on, big guy," Ethan said, backing up toward his final trap. "Just a little closer." The creature lunged, its claws swiping inches from Ethan as he dove out of the way. It landed in the center of the chamber, right on top of the hidden explosives. Ethan hit the detonator, and the room shook with a deafening blast. Smoke and fire engulfed the creature. When the dust settled, the massive beast lay still, its body charred and lifeless. The remaining creatures, disoriented and leaderless, began retreating. The bait's energy signature faded, no longer holding their attention. Ethan collapsed against a wall, his chest heaving. Is it over? The creatures are retreating, Vara confirmed. You have successfully neutralized the threat. Relief washed over Ethan, but it was short-lived. The battle had taken its toll on the station's defenses, and he knew the fight wasn't entirely over. Still, for now, he had won. Let's get the long-range communications online, Ethan said, pushing himself to his feet. It's time to let the galaxy know what happened here. As he left the reactor chamber, his mind was already racing with plans. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was taking control, shaping his own fate. One step at a time, Ethan Carter leaned against the control panel in the station's communications room. Sweat still clung to his brow, and his muscles ached from the long battle, but a flicker of hope burned in his chest. The creatures were gone, defeated or driven off, and the station was finally his. Now, he had a chance to do what he had dreamed of since he first set foot on this alien outpost. Send a message to the galaxy. Vara, Ethan said, his voice steady but tired. How's the communications array looking? Vara's holographic form appeared beside him, her glowing figure a comforting presence. The array is operational. I have rerouted power from non-essential systems to ensure maximum signal strength. You are ready to transmit. Ethan nodded, glancing at the blinking console. His message was simple: expose the truth about the station and the experiments conducted there. The galaxy needed to know what had happened, and the people who had left him to die needed to be held accountable. Begin transmission, Ethan said. The console lit up, and Ethan's voice filled the empty room as he recorded his message. This is Ethan Carter, a human engineer stranded on an alien research station. The station was abandoned after a catastrophic experiment created hostile bioweapons. I survived against all odds, repaired the station, and neutralized the threat. This message is a warning. The station's creators, and those who abandoned me here, must answer for their actions. We cannot allow this kind of recklessness to continue. He paused, his fingers tightening around the edge of the console. To anyone listening, I'm alive, and I'm taking control of this station. It's time to build something better, for all of us. The console beeped, confirming the transmission. Ethan let out a long breath, the weight on his shoulders lifting just slightly. Message sent, Vara said. The signal is strong. It will reach nearby systems within hours and farther colonies within days. Ethan allowed himself a small smile. Good. Now let's talk about what comes next. The station was damaged, but functional. Its systems, though ancient, were still advanced by human standards. With some effort, Ethan could transform it into something new. A safe haven, a hub for innovation, or even a fortress against future threats. The station's energy reserves are stable, Vara said. With your repairs, it can sustain life support and essential functions indefinitely. However, expansion will require additional resources. Ethan rubbed his chin thoughtfully. Resources, huh? I guess it's time to see what's out there. The galaxy was vast, filled with opportunities and dangers. Ethan knew he couldn't do it alone. He needed allies, and he had just sent out a beacon that might attract them. Vara, can the station's sensors be upgraded to detect incoming ships? Ethan asked. Yes, Vara replied. I can guide you through the process. With enhanced sensors, we can monitor traffic and establish communications with approaching vessels. Ethan grinned. Perfect. Let's get started. As he worked, a strange sense of peace settled over him. For the first time since he had been left behind, he wasn't just surviving. He was building a future. The creatures were gone. The station was his. And the message was out. It wasn't the life he had planned, but it was a life he could shape with his own hands. Hours passed as Ethan repaired the sensor array, guided by Gara's instructions. When the system finally came online, the station's screens lit up with a view of the surrounding space. Stars glittered against the black void. And for a moment, Ethan just stared, captivated by the beauty of it all. Incoming signal, Vera announced suddenly. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. All ready? Patch it through. The screen flickered, and a humanoid figure appeared. Their features were alien but not hostile. They had blue-tinted skin, elongated limbs, and a calm expression. "This is Captain Rel of the vessel *Starbound. We received your transmission," the alien said. "Your story is remarkable. We wish to help." Ethan's relief was palpable. He straightened, meeting the captain's gaze through the screen. "Thank you, Captain Rel. I could use all the help I can get." "We will approach cautiously," Rel said. "Your message mentioned bioweapons. Is the station secure?" "Completely," Ethan assured them. "I've neutralized the threat. The station is safe." Rel nodded. "Understood. We'll be there within the hour." As the signal ended, Ethan leaned back in his chair, a smile spreading across his face. Help was on the way. The galaxy had heard his call, and now, a new chapter was beginning. "Vera," Ethan said, his voice filled with determination, "let's get ready to welcome our guests. This station isn't just a relic anymore. It's the start of something new." And for the first time since he had been left behind, Ethan Carter felt truly alive.